Factors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video. And with me today, I have two of the members of the SWTVC group from Instagram, Evan and John, and we're going to be talking all things March Madness. We're going to be talking about where we are currently in the March Madness bracket. We're going to be talking about some of the matchups and whether they've been close and things like that. So I'm going to be handing over to John and Evan very quickly just to tell you where we are at with the bracket, when the next round of voting is going to start, because we are at the Elite 8 stage, or the Elite 8 stage has just finished. Is that right, guys?
Yes.
Right. All right. So shall we start, first of all, with where we're at, and then we'll just talk very, very quickly about some of the previous rounds, some of the earlier rounds, some of the things that might have happened that might have shocked you and things like that. And then we'll talk more in depth about some of the sort of bigger matchups that have just happened and the ones that are going to, are to come.
All right, so only 4 characters remain. This Monday, we'll be voting to pass the final 4 onto the top 2. Currently, the 4 characters, if we want to get into that, are number 2 on the original rankings on the seeded lists from your lists. Number 2, Luke Skywalker, will be going up against number 3, Count Dooku. And number 25, Asajj Ventress, will be going up against number 20, Sabine Wren. So we have 1 character from the original trilogy, 1 from the prequel trilogy, 1 from the Clone Wars, and 1 from Rebels. 2 realistic, 2 animated, of course. That's where we're at. Excited to go over a little bit of the tournament so far with you here today.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so that's who's left, which is, and we'll talk about whether we're surprised about that when we come to it. But let's just talk about, first of all, just some of the earlier rounds, specifically the first round, maybe. If you can just maybe talk about some of the potential rounds. Was there any shocks? Was there any sort of blowouts where there was like one of the favorite seeds that got taken out by a lesser seed and things like that?
All right, so in round 1, we started with the top 64 characters from the rankings. I'll say real quick, we got 671 unique lists. Of course, that's how we built the bracket. We've talked about that before. You can listen to one of the many episodes on this show or others about that. But we get about between 2,100 and 2,600 votes each day, usually somewhere in the middle. So there's about 3 times as many people voting as there were the submitted lists. Yeah, which is always interesting to see how that shakes out. So in round 1, when the top 64 became the top 32, there were 6 upsets. Nobody major. I'll just run those down real quick. Number 48, EV99, beat number 17, Velkin Tazeri. Number 41, Wrecker, beat number 24, Dedra Miro. Number 36, Mon Mothma Coruscant, beat number 21, My Boy, Sweet Sweet Simalu, Imperial Dignitary. Number 37, Frog Lady, beat number 28, Bodhi Rook. That one was really close, 50.9% to 49.1%.
It was a 43-point split.
Wow.
Right.
Number 42, Darth Revan, beat number 23, Imperial Stormtrooper, Hoth Battle Gear. And number 35, Two Tubes, beat number 32nd, Sister Inquisitor. And that one was pretty close, not as close as the others.
Yeah, it was a little over 100 vote difference there.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember like when we did our live stream, and some of the characters that did well, like Two Tubes, for example, did remarkably well throughout, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So he went through in that round, right?
Yes, so he went through. He lost in the next one to Count Dooku, but Count Dooku was a most formidable opponent. And some of the other close matchups were number 13, Kanan Jarrus, only barely beat the Jedi Temple Guard. It was 50.1% to 49.9%.
It was a 7-point difference.
Wow. Was that the closest match we've had so far?
I think so far that is the closest.
We've had some other pretty close ones, but and number 15, Saw Gerrera, was 50.4% over number 50, Echo from the Bad Batch at 49.6%.
That was less than 20-point difference.
And then Moman Nadon was number 14 was 50.8%, and number 51 Tech was 49.2%.
Okay.
And then some of the biggest victories, is that correct, Evan? You're right.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to look for the numbers.
The landslides.
Yeah. So a lot of these were fairly close, 60-40 ish, or in that area, 55-45 around there. I know this pains Evan to say, just razzing you a little bit, but number 1, Princess Leia Organa, got 75.3% of the vote against number 64, Finn, with 24.7% of the vote. Sabine Wren got 75.6 to Supreme Leader Kylo Ren's 24.4%.
Wow.
Baze Malbus got 68.5% to Fozek's 31.5%. Sorry, Fozek. Better luck next year. Pong Krell, Tim's favorite character, got 68.4 against Palpatine Sith Eternal, 31.6. Kentuku got 71.2%. Kiedi Mundi got 28.8%. And two more landslides, a couple more in that area. Chrysanthemum got 75.4% to Ben Solo. Sorry, Evan, 24.6%.
Okay. Chrysanthemum won it last year, so
Won it
no
last year.
surprise.
Yeah,
He's the
that's
defending champ.
Yeah. Thrawn got 65.4% to Crosshair's 34.6%. And Cobb Vanth in another, I think this might have been the biggest landslide, actually. Cobb Vanth
Was
76.5% to Q90, who got 23.5%.
wow.
So
And
even
how did Garandan do?
he did so good, Tim. He did so good. He did so good. He lost by 315. He lost to the Grand Inquisitor in round 1. It was 1455 to 1140.
What was the percentage on that?
So
the percentage on that is I'm not looking at it right now.
Better percentage than Ben Solo, though, right?
Indeed. Ouch, but indeed. So they're both still out in round 1.
Yeah, they are.
But
all right.
Worth noting real quick, sequel stuff in round 1 definitely all hovered consistently at about 25% of the vote. So not hot, but it was on the bracket, and the fact that 1 in 4 people roughly
that's
were.
the thing. They're on the bracket, and I mean, to be honest, 25%, I think that's a pretty good turnout.
It's not bad.
No,
it's something that's like not a thing at the moment, and it is hated by a lot of people. Let's
it's not beloved.
Out there. It's the fact that who they're coming up against, isn't it? At the end of the day, they're having to come up against either characters that are original trilogy legacy characters, or characters that are, for recency bias, figures in the Mandalorian and
like
Andor and things like that. So Chrysanthemum, exactly. So
who won last year.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next round then. Let's do the same there. Let's just have a quick recap of the next round. Once again, any sort of notable shocks or anything like that in that round?
Do you want to do that, or should I do it again?
I'll go through. Yeah. So there were 6 upsets in round 2 when the top 32 became the Sweet 16. Number 25, Asajj Ventress beat number 9, Director Krennic. Number 20, Sabine Wren beat number 13, Kanan Jarrus. So it was a Rebel v. Rebel thing. Number 42, Darth Revan beat number 10, Baze Malbus. Number 26, Pong Krell beat another character to advance even further. He beat number 7, Luthen Rail. Number 19.
That's a killer. What are you doing, people? What are you doing?
Pong Krell has had one heck of a journey, that's for sure. Number 19, Chrysanthemum kept his momentum going, and he beat number 14, Hammerhead Moman Nadon, and number 22, Grand Admiral Thrawn took out number 11, Tessek. So, of the matchups in round 2, the closest was Luke Skywalker Tatooine versus Jango Fett. It was 50.9% to 49.1, or 42-point difference.
Wow. 2 very popular characters.
Yeah. And if Tyler were here, he would be yelling at us for even having Jango on the bracket in the first place, because a lot of his tooling does exist. But hopefully Hasbro sees the level of interest for a Jango, even though we do already have all these new Mandalorian parts. He would be fairly easy to get out into the line with some new holsters and a new head and that sort of thing. But
I would say we don't make the rules, but we do make the rules for this. We try to be consistent with it. We don't make the figures. So
Jango Fett was on my list, and I guess the whole sort of, it's got to be all new, blah 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 blah. But then again, any character could be all new except their hands or something. So I think it's just about huge characters like Jango Fett. I just want to see them updated, and to get them in the eyes of Hasbro, just get them on there,
we just ask for have a mind towards new tooling to the goal is to further expand the tooling library so that we can have more things that don't require all new tools, but just things like that. So we're not going to be total sticklers about it, as evidenced by Django being on the bracket. Yeah.
So,
unfortunate. Yeah.
moving on to the next round then, which is the Elite 8, is it?
Sweet 16 becoming
Sweet 16,
the Elite
Sweet
8.
16. Right, let's run through this one really quickly, and then we can talk about the Elite 8. So,
right.
any potential any shocks in the Elite 8 that anything that surprised you?
There were 5 upsets this round. Number 16, Hera Syndulla she beat number 1 Princess Leia Organa.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 Rebel generals going head to head.
Wow.
Yep, it was.
Was that close? Was that close?
It was 1,272 for Hera and 1,141 for Leia.
Nothing in it.
It was a spread of 52.7 to 47.3%, so pretty close.
Yeah.
And then the other upsets were number 25, Asajj Ventress over number 9, Grand Inquisitor. Number 20, Sabine Wren over number 4, Han Solo Tatooine. Number 12, Tanika's sister over number 5, Bin Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope. And number 42, Darth Revan over number 26, your boy Pong Krell. So that was when, 3 of the top 5 were knocked out.
Yeah, and those were that first day of the Sweet 16 voting. We did it in 2 days. That first day was all upsets. So that was when Hera, Ventress, Sabine, and the Tonikas won. I was surprised by the Tonikas beating Ben, but again, Ben exists as a figure at least, and the Tonikas do not.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean the Sabine. So who did Sabine Wren beat in that? Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yep.
See that for me is amazing. That is amazing. I mean, I can understand people wanting Sabine Wren, but we definitely need a new Han Solo, and unless people really are really clued up and they 100% know that Sabine Wren is going to be in Ahsoka, for example.
Yeah.
It's Sabine Wren from Rebels that was on, I don't know, 8 years ago or whatever it was.
The 10th anniversary is next year, so
yeah. So that is, for me, that's the upset of what we've been talking about so far. I think Sabine Wren knocking out Han Solo. That's
never underestimate a Mandalorian.
And we do have it's always a thing. It's like we do have the new episode 6 Han Solo. Again, it's only new from the very high waist up.
Yeah.
But so we do have a Han coming to the line again. No Sabine that we know of. And
maybe people thought that because we've got that one, then we could some kind of retooling or something. We can get another one. Yeah,
sure. And another point of interest is that last year's number 1 seeded character, Count Dooku, went up against last year's champion, Chrysanthemum. This year they were number 3 and number 19, and Dooku got a victory that was a year in the making. Not that people don't want Chrysanthemum, but we've seen so many comments that everybody just assumes he's coming at this point. He has been pipelined for Retro and Black Series, but not Vintage as of yet.
Yeah. So last year's winner went out to Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad. Dooku sticks around, doesn't he? He sticks around. He's definitely a character that I think a lot of people want.
He was the only prequel character on the bracket last year. And at the number 1 spot. So
yeah. But it's just a villain, main character. Yeah, that's just missing, isn't it?
Last year was the perfect time. It was the anniversary year for him, 20 years. Alas, here we are a year later.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Because when you see the lineup for each year, the figures get revealed and they're revealing, a couple of OTs here and there, new media, Book of Boba Fett. Can you ever see the time where they go, and here's Count Dooku from Attack of the Clones?
Yeah.
I just can't see it happening at the moment because it'd just be such an odd thing just to put in there. Do you know what I mean? I know they did Anakin, but that as because with Dooku, they've got to do, they're going to have to do a decent amount of work to get that one out, aren't they? So I don't know if
it's hard. Sure, well, I mean, this year we're kind of celebrating the 20th anniversary of Clone Wars. So far, we've only seen the ARC Troopers repaints. Yeah. So could have been another good time to get him in. We don't know. And then, of course, he was just in Tales of the Jedi this past fall. Would have been another good time. A lot of people did have this Jedi version on there, but not quite enough to make it into the bracket.
Okay, right. Let's move on to the Elite 8. Which has just been concluded because you've posted that on Instagram today. So we know who the 4 are that won the Elite 8. So let's talk about those quickly. Just give us rundown on some of the stats and what have you. And then just for anyone watching this now, the voting for the semi-final, which is the final four. That's going to be on Monday, the 27th. Monday the 27th, voting for that open. So head over to SWTVC. I'll leave the link in the description of this video as well to get voting, because this is, we're into the business end of March Madness. So tell me a little bit about the Elite Eight and how that went.
Cool. Do you want to take it, John?
Sure. There were two upsets this time. Number 25, SWTVC beat number 16, Harrison Dula. But one Rebels character does survive. Number 20, Sabine Wren, beat number 12, Tanika's sister. It's not quite time for Tanika anymore, sad to say.
She is going.
Yep. There were two non-upsets when number 2, Luke Skywalker Tatooine, beat number 42, Darth Revan, but only barely.
And we mean barely. 1,135 to 1,104.
Wow.
So 31 point difference, right?
Yeah. But that shows you, like, the most extreme legacy character, Luke Skywalker. Everyone knows we need that. We need the card back in the.
Yeah.
We've had it in the VOTC, but we need him in the line. You're talking about the vintage collection as a line of figures. We don't have the most famous character in his most famous outfit basically on that card back, versus a character that is just universally loved, isn't it, by most people, and we would love that figure in the line as well. So I'm not surprised. Well, I'm not surprised that one was close, but I'm surprised it was that close, because I thought Luke Skywalker, when I saw that matchup, I thought he's going through, but not that close. That was seriously close.
Yeah.
So every vote counts.
It does.
And speaking of counts, Count Dooku, number 3, won his match against number 6, Cobb Vanth.
Yeah. Something to note with these. Sorry to cut you off, John.
I'm good.
With all of these matchups, as we've gotten further in, we've seen them more and more, go from, no blowouts. Everything is pretty close, 50-50 split. As we say on the graphic, the whole driving question here is what figure would you like to see first? It's not what figure would you like to see at the expense of or instead of, or what do you hate? It is what would you like to see first of these options? So just kind of general priorities.
Yeah.
So.
I want to see all 64. I want to see all top 100. I want to see all 1,500 characters that were submitted.
Give me all of them.
Right now, Hasbro, and you're terrible for not doing that. But
but that's also why we also, at least personally, I like to try to advocate for the line to succeed and expand, to be able to be more inclusive and hit more notes and make more people happy, and further increase the tooling library to then continue expanding further and offer more diverse things. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think
that's
the worry
my spiel.
I think the worry of it always is, though, is like, we're always like one figure away from killing the line. Like, it's like one bad sale and they take that as like a personal insult or something, like more sequel characters because that figure failed, or no more, if they did do Sabine Wren from Rebels and that one failed, no more Rebels, it's like, oh my God.
Well, we're coming up on 2 years of watching Lando's rot. So I think we're doing okay. We're still around. We're still here. They still do OT stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting a new assortment number soon, thank God. So the Landos will be going away.
So in the semi-final, we have Luke Skywalker. Sorry, I'm doing the opposite side. So in the semi-final, we have, on the left side of the bracket, we have SWTVC versus Sabine Wren. That's right.
Yes.
And on the right side of the bracket, we have Luke Skywalker versus
Count Dooku.
Count Dooku.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Some heavy hitters. So Luke and Luku and Dooku, if you will. They're the last remaining from the top few figures. Sabine and Asajj were ranked in the 20s going into it, but don't underestimate them. Last year, I have how they did on the bracket. So last year, Luke Tatooine was number 4 seeded and made it into the top 32, but lost to SWTVC, who was number 29 last year. Count Dooku was number 1 and made it to the Sweet 16, but lost to number 48 Pri Vizsla, who very nearly won last year, like within a handful of points.
It was like seven points.
Yeah.
Ish.
But he was defeated in round 1 this year by, again, SWTVC. Sabine was number 12 last year. It made it to the Sweet 16, but lost to number 37 Darth Revan, who was just narrowly defeated by Luke. And SWTVC last year was number 29 and made it to the Elite 8, but lost again to number 37 Darth Revan. So a lot of people that fought each other last year. Clearly, these are characters that
Yeah.
keep reappearing.
There's certain
Still year
characters,
after
isn't
year.
there? Like there's a running theme, like Sarge Ventress, Revan. You know, there's
And the
real
Rebels.
popular ones that sort of rise to the top.
Yep.
And as you know, and the nature of the beast of the bracket is that it always depends who they come up against at any given time.
Yep.
That they can get knocked out, as we saw with Han Solo being knocked out. But so that means we are guaranteed a animated character in the final.
Yes.
Yes, an animated female versus a movie male.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Kind of nuts.
All right, that's cool.
Well, it's
Well,
going to be.
I appreciate you guys coming along just to give me a bit of a rundown and giving the people watching this video a rundown of how the bracket's gone and what have you, and what we've got to look forward to. So just a quick recap. So on Monday, the 27th, is the voting for the semi-final or the Fabulous Four, whatever you want to call them.
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
Polls will open at midnight, so Sunday night, Monday morning, Pacific time, which is where John lives. However, I live an hour later than that, which is 1 a.m. my time, which means I've been staying up till 1 a.m. every single night this month so that you folks can vote. You're welcome. That will go for 24 hours, close at 11:59 p.m. Monday night, Pacific time again. And then the results will be made available the next morning on Tuesday. So,
and then the final,
and the final.
That'll be Wednesday, the March 29th. And we'll reveal the results on the 30th.
Right. Okay. So you still only give Okay. Same amount of time for voting, just to keep it fair across the board. Yeah.
It's the madness. You got to get in there. You got to advocate for your top characters.
Yeah.
All right then, guys. Well, I really appreciate you joining me just to give the fans of, or the watchers of my channel a chance to sort of catch up the bracket and whatever. I'm sure they're all following it anyway, but it just gives them a bit of more insight about what's happening or whatever. And don't forget to vote, guys. It's really important that you vote. Hasbro do look at this stuff, and it's just a way of sort of getting your voice heard. It's a good way of doing it, and I appreciate you guys doing it every year. Evan, it's always awesome. Evan and John and Tyler and Lewis. I appreciate you guys doing it because it's always a lot of fun. I get to make content around it, have you on live streams and stuff, so I really appreciate it, fellas. But that's about it from me. Is there anything you want to add just before we sign off and say goodbye to this video?
Just for me, I just want to thank everybody, Tim, you, and all of our partners and all of the folks that are, voting out there, for all the participation, all the really good conversations that have been going on. That's really the point of this, is let's talk about this stuff. Let's see what our priorities are. Let's have fun with our hobby instead of just, moaning and being a little bit bummed out by it. Let's do something a little fun. And again, showing Hasbro some love for some things that they may or may not already be aware of. It's just a good way to kind of kick back, relax, do something exciting. So I appreciate each and every one of you who takes part. And yes, vote this week.
Awesome.
Yes. And thank you, Tim, for hosting us. Thank you, everybody who has hosted the stuff. I don't know about this kicking back and relaxing stuff. I think I might try it after the March Madness is all done.
Yeah, it's all of them get to kick back and relax. We don't. So
and somebody came up with the idea of something for later on in the year, didn't they? Vehicles and creatures. I can't remember the name that they gave it. Have you given that any thought, guys?
We'll see.
I'm going to call that not my problem. So
that sounds like a great fun thing for them to put on. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to do that.
Yeah. And let's not give the Black Series guys any ideas.
Yeah.
All right then. All right. Cheers, folks. Thanks for joining me, Evan, John. Really appreciate it, buddy. Thanks everybody for watching, as always. And we'll see you on the next one.